For real this time. Yay! Welcome. All good.
All right. All right. I think we got it.
Yay!
All right. Okay, we're
Woo.
getting the seal of approval. That's
Awesome.
awesome. All right. Thank you, Helios,
Mm-hmm.
for giving us some backup on that one.
Yeah, that helps.
God, yeah, we're definitely trying to learn this one, so we're getting there. So we appreciate any and all help. Definitely trying to learn this one. Let's see here. I think
All
we
good?
got everything going.
I think so.
All right.
This is exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, right. So as to first start off, as this is our first, getting blinded out there. This is our first live episode of You Heard It From Us. If you haven't seen us before, I am DM Eguile.
And I'm D&D wife. Hi.
We started a company or an organization around a year and a half ago. We
Sounds
did.
so serious.
It does sound serious, but we take it seriously.
Yeah.
And we started it, about a year and a half ago called Couple of Nerds. And we run a little nerdy podcast together. And originally we were all just words.
Yep.
But we decided to jump out and reach out a little more and show our faces and get out there. So we are now starting even further than that and doing a live show for all of you out there that we know there's so many of you.
I don't know. We thought about it. We thought it would be fun to get, questions and comments from people who watch. So that'd be interesting.
And so if you're watching or if you're here, if you haven't already followed us, be sure to follow. We will probably be doing these episodes every other Tuesday as we see if people even like watching us or if this is something that even people want.
Yeah.
But that way we can at least get a start on it. But this will also be kind of an open air area where we answer all questions, both D&D related and everything nerdy and everything in between.
So much fun.
We've been answering such, breakneck questions like metagaming and D&D tables. Is there such things as too many dice?
Yep. Conflicts and how to manage them.
As well as interpersonal dynamics and relationships. So there's a little bit of everything. So if you have a question, please ask us. We have that little chat there in the middle that will always be able, so you'll be able to see your questions also put on the chat. We also have, we figured given that this was going to be our first episode live, that it was probably going to be needing a little more oomph. So we kind of went out and looked for some Reddit stories for this week and tried to find some ideas as to what would be kind of entertaining and other stories of the people out there that have struggled in like D&D and other aspects of the world.
Oh yeah. We just thought it'd be interesting, to find some perspectives out there that were new, that were maybe a little controversial, and we could talk about.
Right. And that's the thing too. It's that there is so much going on in our D&D world. I mean, how many of us have like these like horror stories or, like for us, like we live in an apartment and we're like, nerdy people. So it's like, how also do you struggle with like reflecting that in your house? I've talked on the stream, like putting stuff on the walls is like such a hassle.
Oh, I know. And it's such a new thing too, because we're not used to it. So.
Right. So we figured, it's the best way is, I've always kind of had a philosophy of like telling, my own story and you learn from other people's examples. And so we thought this was the best way, because before we would just pull our Discord or our YouTube and just kind of get these afterthoughts, but it didn't really allow people to actually explain why they made the choices they made.
Like you may vote, but you may not be, able to say why necessarily without you having to make a whole new comment or something.
Yeah, right. So this way it's like now people can double down and actually ask those extra questions and stuff like that. So it really makes it nice. So, excuse me.
Oh.
So Helios, obviously, if you have any questions,
let
you get to be our first, I guess, since you're currently watching us right now. If you have any questions, be sure to throw them out there. We'll definitely be here for that. We're planning on going for a while too. We don't want this to be a little bit of time, so that if there are any latecomers or whatnot, there's opportunities for everyone. So just don't be afraid, because obviously for right now, we'll probably answer any question that comes to us.
Pretty much. We'll have space.
But for me, we kind of gave ourselves a little assignment before we made this episode today, in that we would go look for kind of a story on Reddit or wherever we could find it that kind of related to some of the situations we'd been dealing with ourselves at our table, because that's the funny thing, right? It's like, you may have the problem, but there's probably someone else who also has the same problem. And if you figured it out, why not share that knowledge with someone else?
It could help somebody. You never know. Or you might find a kindred spirit that knows what you went through.
Right. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, like with most of the stories and why we read them is just because it's like, oh man, either A, you're like, man, I hope I never get that situation, or B, you're just like, yeah, been there.
Yeah.
You know,
Hang in
we
there,
suffered
buddy.
together. Yeah, you're just like, yeah, right on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I guess I'll probably open up first, as I am the dungeon master on this
Okay.
one. For me, I always laugh because obviously as a dungeon master, I always get kind of like pushed with the question of like, well, how do you start? You know, I think even my coworker was talking the other day about like, you know, it's like, oh, how do you get started with this? Like, how's this going to start? And it's like, okay, well, you know, it's tough because everyone has a different way of playing, everyone has a different focus, and so it's like, okay, well, you know, the easiest way I always say is just like, you know, be yourself, and then, you know, go from there. But like, the nice thing about D&D is like you can be yourself with magic, or you can be
Plus.
yourself who can carry a broadsword and, you know, destroy a person in broad daylight and nothing happens to them. You know, because that's really the start. And so one of my new players, Etlink, she's a digital artist, check her out, she's cool.
Yeah, she's awesome.
If she's on here, hello.
Hi.
But when she was originally a coworker of mine, and she was telling me a story of a DM that was like, hey, start a story and play. When she had asked him what exactly she should do or inspiration she should have, you know, he basically told her to do the exact opposite of herself, build the exact opposite person she was. And I remember being just kind of twinged a little bit, and it was like, wait, what? Because that idea was so crazy to me that you would want to freaking make someone, you know, try to be harder, right? Like it's already difficult enough to be yourself. So the idea of being like the opposite of you, like,
How do you even know what that is?
right, like for me, like I have white knight syndrome. Like as
Yeah.
much as any game where you didn't even ask her, you know, any game I start where I'm like, I'm gonna be the bad guys.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm gonna be by the end of the game, I'm saving everyone. I'm the hero. Like it's just, you know, it's those things.
He finds a way to immorally justify doing the right thing. It's really weird.
You know, just can't break the rules too much. So it's, yeah, right. So it's this idea that it's like, okay, well, you know, it gives them kind of a little bit more agency. It's just so funny to me to be the opposite. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't be me.
How? Yeah.
You want me to be someone else?
Like, it's hard enough trying this.
So it was funny when I was looking at when we were looking for this assignment, and so I found a pretty interesting story. Now, this is our cool little transitions. We're trying to be. On this one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dear.
We're really good at this, people.
We're so smart.
So good.
Copy paste.
Yeah, see, that should do
That
it. Now
works?
look,
All
now we can talk
right.
here. But see, I'm getting better at tech on the fly. But yeah, so that's kind of good. So I found a story online that I thought was pretty funny on RPG horror stories, which, you know, it's always kind of good. Yeah. Thanks, Helios, for enjoying the transition.
Gotta appreciate it.
You know, a lot of work goes into these, and then we mess it up right off the bat. So it's always really entertaining to do that.
Yep.
So I found this really funny story, and if you want to read it, I'm going to go through it slowly while I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just those essential things where like you hear like these crazy crackpot stories on Reddit and stuff about where these DMs give this like god awful advice. And so like this one was kind of brought the same idea where it's just like, you know, the DM puts so many weird rules and ideas on the players in an effort to like avoid power gaming, make it easier, or, you know, include more role playing.
Yeah.
But the whole time it's like so restrictive. It's just so instances of just being like, okay, petty at some
Yeah.
points. Or it's like that idea, like, and I had this problem when I first started DMing, was like acknowledging that you kind of suck and that you're learning just like anyone else. Like, you don't look at like pee-wee football players and go, oh, how come you're not running like 8 TDs and da-da-da, you know, you're not rushing for 100 yards.
Right.
You know, it is. So it's like, you know, it's so funny when some of these DMs will like, they'll be like, yeah, be any character, be anything. And then they're like, oh, so like the story, like this character is a druid, right? And so they tell them just like, to avoid any kind of power gaming. It's like make your charisma your dump stat. Now, if you don't play D&D, essentially in like any video game out there, it's basically like not raising your hit points. And so the whole point is like, you're telling a new person who has no idea about what these kind of things mean. And when he's telling them that you can only expect it, especially if you're a veteran DM out there, if you have a freaking, I lost my connection there. If you have a con of only like 6 or 8, and it doesn't matter what character class you are, you're going to have like no HP.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to be taken down by paper cuts.
Oh.
And so it's just hilarious to me, when it's this idea that DMs are so afraid of their players that they have to like try to get ahead of them, right?
Yeah, in a way that clearly breaks the game.
Yeah,
for
and
everyone.
so I think in the instance of like Etlink, like her DM was just an honest mistake.
Yeah,
like I think it was like them trying to give the right advice, because I think it's that idea of like. When I talk to new players and when it is, and I tell them to be themselves, is because sometimes that's easier to do. You're not like trying an accent. To be someone else, I get the idea of like, oh, well, if you're in your shoes, you're afraid to embarrass yourself. Well, be someone else. Like, man, I can't be myself first.
Yeah.
Now you want me to be someone else as well? Like, it ain't gonna happen.
No way.
Right? Like, and so, and so it's kind of funny where, it is that where we are a community where like this goes to show you like talk to your friends if you play. Like if you're having horrible experiences in D&D and you're going, oh, well, that's just because that's how the game. No. Talk to your friends. See who else plays. Go on to Reddit. Ask these questions out loud because seriously, they help people more than just saying, oh, I'll never play D&D again because obviously I didn't have fun. Right? Because like Etlink, who ended up becoming on our table, which is now a 2-year-long running campaign, is playing a character that essentially, may have started off kind of an amalgamation of her, but now it's just blown up into this whole new thing, right?
Now.
Right. And so that's the whole thing with it is that, when it comes to Dungeon Master advice, I always tell people it's like you want to be as close to like what it is, right? Like you don't need to be something special. D&D is already special in itself.
Oh yeah.
Right? And the whole point too, especially if you start like low level, is like that's the whole point. You're a nobody. What story, every story we read in fantasy and stuff, but you're always starting as a nobody, right? So when you make a character who then aspires and becomes all these things, then now
we can brag.
Right, that's the story.
We can yell it.
That's the quintessential hero story.
Yeah.
And so for, my always advice when it comes to like new players is play someone like yourself. Like just play yourself. Like if right now some owl came through your freaking window and dropped off a little letter and now you're going to Schmogwarts.
Right. You're a wizard.
Right, or you're a pizzard, whatever you want to go with it, right? But the idea being that way it's like, oh, cool. What would I do in those experiences? So when you get in those moments, especially in Dungeons and Dragons where there are infinite goddamn decisions, right? Now you're like, okay, well, where would I do this? So like if I'm just this guy who just got magic, what would I do? It's always good to start with a familiar seed because the game and the story will evolve your character naturally. Yeah. Like Helos, exactly, right? Like I always tell them, it's like, let the story do the work. I mean, what player out there took their level 1 character, their build from the first, and goes, oh, that's exactly what my character was at level 15.
Yep. That's what he's going to be.
Never happens. Never happens.
Forever.
Right? And so, like, I mean, you, obviously, I'm a dungeon master. I'm, like, pointing at the screen. I'm like, she's literally over here, people. I'm just on the other side. Jason. But yeah, so I mean you've started multiple characters as well, right? And so it's that idea of like when you start also making secondary characters, now you have like one where it was pretty much you, and then you start kind of evolving to where now you can kind of dip your foot a little more into the wading pool, maybe try a new accent, maybe a new affect or something.
I did that a couple of times now because I've had like 3 or 4 different characters at this point. And they've all been pretty different, but they've also been somewhat having like different things in common, just because they're all me in a way. I don't think I could ever truly play a character that's not in some way myself, because I don't know what it's like not to be me.
Right, right. I mean, and it is that thing, right? Yeah. I think sometimes like you do a great job. It's like you'll pick like an aspect of yourself, and it's kind of like the like Helios was saying, right? It's like the seed.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'm a little greedy. Like, so this character's gonna be the greedy version. I mean,
She likes
you
the
know
money.
what? You know, it's a good way to look at that. Like Teen Titans Raven.
Oh yeah.
Right, with like
where they go into her brain
and the multiple and they all represent emotions, right?
Yeah.
But that same idea with like your own characters, right? So it's like, okay, this one's gonna be, you know, this is gonna be my debonair swashbuckler type, or this is gonna be my crazy scientist, and you can start kind of branching off, but they all still at the end of the day are a little bit of manifestations of yourself.
Yeah, because how can you not put a little bit of yourself in everything you do?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for me on that is the moral of the story of both of these: talk to people, right? Like, Entley knew I was a dungeon master, but didn't quite know how much at this point, how much I played. It was just more of, I think, a cry for help.
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
And so, but really it comes from talking. Was the reason how I played?
Welcome.
Nice, Phoenix.
Well, you could always take them through a Reformation arc, you know, where they learn the error of their ways.
Right. See, yeah, that could say, yeah. I mean, you can find out a lot about your friends if they keep playing the same type of character over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I try, you know, to give the best advice to characters, but at the end of the day, it's really just don't do anything. Don't make a freaking 3-page backstory. I had a player, and it's funny, as Helios was referencing, you know, where they make a backstory where they've done so much shit. They've been kidnapped. They were interned for years, and then they fought to an inch, and then they were in a rebel gang, and then they had to earn their right out of that, and then they got out of the city, and then they had to fight again. And it's like, okay, your character's 5.
Yeah.
And you're level 1, but you're now claiming you've defeated like 2 thieves guilds.
Yep.
You've already defeated the guy who wronged your family. So that's
all
lines
done.
out. And it's like, wow, like how, to me, the funny thing is, how is your character not just this like mess of a character in the corner, having experienced so much tragedy, and
like the PTSD must be real.
You know, he went through fast forwarding like 50 years of trauma in like 3 years of their lifespan.
Yeah, I think that's why we're so big at our table about, following like time and making sure that the progression of time matches what you're doing in the world. Like, it can't just take a day to make a castle or something, unless you're using very high-end magic, which also has its own like explanation as to why you can do that.
Yeah, right. And like, it is that thing where, you know, magic solves for a lot, but really it sounds terrible, but the D&D really comes down to just the personality and the persons you talk to, right? Like, so the game part is second. Like, as much as everyone's like, oh, I love the mechanics of dice, but it really comes down to how you converse with people. Because if you're just sitting there rolling dice, you're playing Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's more about the communication and allowing organic things to come up and happen, which is always fine, right? But I mean, obviously, it's for me, like, that's why I really, that story I read the other day, I was like, okay, this is going to be my story, because I think it was going to be the funniest kind of moment. But for you, I know that you found a few little interesting tidbits, because you've been following a story for a while, because I know you kind of pick out certain stories, which is funny.
This one caught my eye because it involved a couple. It's all about a couple, and so I had to look and see what it was up, and this is the update, but I followed it since it first started, and it was just from the beginning. For the last 4 years, the poster, has been spectating their spouse's D&D game online, and they've had a blast watching all the adventures go down. Everything's been great. The DM knew that they were going to be spectating. It was all pre-organized, so nobody was like unknowing about what was happening. Like, everything was going great, and then that campaign ended, and it ended really well. Everyone had fun, and then the DM started working on a new campaign, and for the new campaign they invited the spouse to join, so the poster to join along with their spouse, a new game. So perfect, great. They spent months talking.
Dream. That's what we always get blamed. We always get the fact
Yep.
that you and I are husband and wife that can play together.
So they were super excited, great, and they spent months working with the DM to get everything set up. Well, come the sessions, the DM kind of dumps on the newcomer a little bit, to the point where like they can't really play their character at all. I think they said they played all of 15 minutes and that's it.
Dude, like, I mean, that's like crazy for us, because like I feel bad, because for us, we don't even plan a session unless it's at least at minimum 8 hours long.
Yeah.
Like Phoenix, I don't know how long you run your online sessions, but I don't know if like 8 hours sounds crazy. But for us regularly, it's about 12 hours, usually 9 to 9.
Yep. We try to do long ones.
Well, because it's such a game where 4 hours can go by and you've literally done nothing.
Yeah, you can just sit there talking and or have a shopping session for the entire time.
Yeah. And so it is that like the idea of where it's like, oh, I got to play for 15 freaking minutes. I would,
after sitting there for hours.
I'd lose my damn mind. Like I would lose my damn mind.
Frankly, I wouldn't have let it get that far.
But I know you were excited because they finally gave an update, and I know you were kind of excited.
They updated it. It's right. They felt bad, but they didn't want to tell their wife, so they kind of kept it to themselves for a bit, and they posted on Reddit about it. So Reddit was like, "No, you should talk to your wife about it. That's you're together for a reason."
Yeah.
So they finally did. They went to their spouse and they talked about it, and the spouse totally knew where they were coming from. She kind of saw it too. So they both decided to go privately to the DM and speak over Discord privately. The other players weren't involved. It was just a chat between them two. So like nobody can say like, oh, we ganged up or something. And they just expressed like, oh, it didn't really feel like I got time. I got to do the things I wanted. Like, is there any way, moving forward I can do that? Well, they essentially just got like written off and were like, well, I'm sorry you didn't like that. Too bad. If you don't like it, you can leave. There's a door. And so he, the person the poster kind of got their response at that point and was like, well, okay, that's fine. I'll bow out. You're more than welcome to do anything you want with my character. And, they were, at least according to the post, you never know, you're only getting one side of the story. But according to the post, they were very polite and bowed out respectfully. Right. Only to right after that call have both them and their spouse, the one who was enjoying the table so much, both get kicked from the Discord and banned.
Gotcha. Right. I mean, so this was an online game?
Oh, yeah.
I know. I was talking about VMix too. Like, the online game scene is so rough in terms of like dealing with things, because of the fact that like, there's just so many variables. Like people are watching stuff, they're not paying attention, they're not doing what they need to do, and I get that, right? Like, but at the same time, we're here to all do something. Yeah. So I can see that too. Now, I mean, honestly, it makes it even more heinous that you had to only play 15 minutes in an online game.
Right, when you waited so long, and you were really into, like, you worked through all those months too with the DM, so it wasn't like anybody was out of the loop.
Yeah, I know. It's just more of like an idea of just keeping focus, and it's like, okay, we want to do this, and then like I think I posted a meme a while ago about this, and that was it was this whole thing of, as soon as you criticize a DM, their first thought is always going to be, okay, well, you hate me, or something's wrong, or everything's broken, right? And so it's hilarious that, and I think that probably played into it. Like, I mean, not defending the DM's decisions or actions, but that idea of like, okay, well, sometimes it's really a sensitive subject. I mean, how many times after a session have I asked you where I've been like, how was that? Did I do anything wrong? Was there something bad?
Tell me up?
Now we know. I know you're my wife, but you can tell me. You can tell. And 9 times out of 10, you're like, dude, everything was great. What are you talking about? Why are you acting this way?
Yeah. So I can see why that can definitely be something at the back of your mind as a DM, or be like, oh, I don't want to mess anything up for anybody. And we only got one side of the story, right? So we can't sit here and say definitively, oh, this person was right, just because they're the ones who posted first.
Yeah.
And got the story out there, where the DM could be like, I tried to help and they didn't want it.
Right. I mean, we could eventually see like another update. I mean, I've seen it every now and then, like some of these Reddit stories where you get like, I think I saw one where it was like, all right, hold on. like these are the few players and the DM here. This is not how it went down.
Oh yeah. We always sometimes get those posts that set the record straight, and I'd be interested to see if this one was one of them.
Right, and I think too, it's like that thing that we strive for too, because the idea of being able to play with your spouse or your partner is just like dope, right? Like you want to have that happen because then
the
you're
Holy
able,
Grail.
right? You're able to then like enjoy a thing together, and I think that's like what everyone wants. Like so now, D&D's already hard enough to plan out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you want to do it with your partner, having someone else with you as well, I mean, that's kind of be the way to go.
Oh yeah, it's just so much easier when you live with someone that you can then plan out the activity with. I don't know. There's just something about it that you can share things to with this person. There's the talking points. You have so much more in common.
Right.
It's just interesting. It's fun.
Just pointing out Helios here. Then eventually, he says, eventually we'll get those 3-day poker games going, but for D&D.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I can do those anymore.
We'll
I mean,
see.
that is so rough. I mean, when we were doing books, like, and I will say, when you're doing like module books,
Oh yeah.
that's easy, right?
Way
like
easier.
everything is there. It's written for you. You literally just read it along. But when it comes to homebrew worlding, that's so tough. Like, I think the only times where I've really looked at doing that or had that as an option is like when we've had like big battles where I know one of the sessions might be entirely combat. So then it's like, oh, okay, we'll do a back-to-back weekends, but most of the first one's just going to be fighting. So it's not going to really matter.
Yeah. It's tough when the timing just doesn't quite add up.
Plus,
Right?
jobs suck. Jobs
Yeah.
make D&D hard. But if anyone has at this point, this is where we just kind of open it up to Q&A. If you have any questions, D&D, nerdiness, anything related, please don't hesitate to ask. Let's see.
To be honest, like 2 days in.
I don't know most of these shorthands. I'm so
Yeah,
terrible.
I'd be like, nah, I'm just gonna fail this death save and take a nap, lol.
Yeah, right. I mean, worst DM mistake. Yeah, I think we joked. We joked about it, and it's gonna be funny because if he ever watches this, he's gonna give me shit about it.
Yeah.
When we were a younger table, and we didn't have an average age of like 50 something. We were playing very late at night, and we would play for hours. And we had always joked about doing a 24-hour long gameplay. And then one of our players joined, who has a family and kids and adult responsibilities, and was like, "There's no way in hell I can do that."
Yeah.
So that nixed that. I don't think I could ever do that.
I don't think so either. I had trouble staying up for the new year.
Yeah, Helios, you're definitely bringing that median age down at our table, which is going to be interesting as y'all are getting a little older here.
Yeah, but Phoenix brought up a good point. What's your worst DM mistake?
Oh, what's the worst? Oh, what's mine?
Yeah.
Giving out fucking items. No joke. I have screwed my game so hard by giving wrong items or giving an item where I'm like, cool, they're going to do, X with it. And then they find the most unpractical way to like jailbreak my game.
It's happened.
And I think video games are to blame for this, where everyone plays games to oblivion, right? Who doesn't have like 100 and something hours on Baldur's Gate to where now you're like, okay, if I do this, they know everything down to a science, and they bring that into D&D, right? We're not making the halflings French.
They're not French.
They're not French. My players keep trying to enforce different accents as in a homebrew world, and none of these races have spoken yet. So they keep thinking that if they can bring up and make characters in those classes, they can determine what the accent will be. No, you'll just be born on vacation.
You were traveling.
They will always be in, that is exactly where they will stay, Helios.
Yep. Buried in your heart of hearts.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's tough, right? And I think the biggest thing though is to roll with mistakes, and again, this kind of rolls back into my original point, is also admitting to them, because I think in the original you get kind of this feeling of like, okay, I gave them something, and then you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. Like, no team should ever have a staff of power. Just no. It's a broken ass fucking piece of equipment.
Bad.
Shouldn't happen.
So powerful.
And so, but then you get this idea. Well, I've already gave it to him. I can't take it away. Like, I can't. That's just mean. Like to remove a whole. But sometimes you kind of have to for the sake of the game. Like for the sake of just being like, hey. maybe we'll make it broken or not perfect or something. But it's like, and then I think that's when you can see with your players, right? If your players are going, nah, man, I got it. It's mine. I don't give a crap. It's mine. Yeah. Game. I'm cool. That's going to let you know that maybe your players aren't the ones for you. But if they understand and they maybe go, hey, well, you know, I really kind of have plans for this. You know, they meet you in the middle. Maybe now it's a quest to empower it or fix it. And then you turn a mistake into now plot line, story, and just great content.
A great story arc that can really help grow the party in a way that you might not have had.
And so it's not just about me. What's your worst player mistake?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. That's my golden gods moment.
Not paying attention.
So we were in Barovia, in the darkness and the gloom.
Curse of Strahd campaign.
Yeah, we were in the mill with the hags as they were grinding down children for their paste, for their pies, and we set it on fire. And then we climbed to the highest point in the tower.
This one.
After setting it on fire. So we had to go out the window, and we got a rope, got it all set up, put it out the window. It was ready, and everybody else went down the rope. And you know what I did? I go out the window. So that's what I did. I jumped out the window because I didn't say I held onto the rope.
Yeah, I like to be one of those annoying DMs where words matter. And so it's a matter of like, okay, well, you just said you just jump, so you just jump.
Yeah, so I straight up belly flopped into the ground about maybe 20 feet below, 30 feet below.
I think like my favorite player flop moments are kind of a theme. And that's the theme of when the player actually does a great job role playing. You know, they're like heartfelt speech, and like multiple of my table have had this happen to them. It's a heartfelt speech. It's like the most RPing they've done all session. It's like, damn, they must be drunk. That's why they're into it. And then they roll like a nat 1 or some dumpster fire number, and it's like you can't help but like not try to laugh because you just see that it's like, yeah, nobody listens to you. Great story, but you're a raving lunatic at this point, and you feel bad because in essence the game is not rewarding this role play moment, and you don't really have a choice because they rolled the damn dice.
Right? It's so tough. It's so tough. Like, how do you control that?
Yeah, right.
The story of your life.
I know you have a few Helios.
All good.
Phoenix, you still with us in there? You still in the chat?
Yeah, let us know.
Let's see if he's still here. Because I know he's an online DM, so I know he's probably got his own series of, lemony schnickets. Yeah, so you're still here. I mean, I've only done the in-person play, but I mean, I imagine there's got to be moments. Did you guys do the webcam stuff, or were you just over the mic?
And then, do you use clickety clackities or online clickety clackities?
Webcam sometimes. Yeah. See, because that was my always thing is like, it's like the Zoom kind of shit where like, you're not paying attention and like, you're not realizing like you ain't wearing pants and like, you're just like in your players and your players walks out and it's like bare ass dirty underwear or something. And like, having that in, because like obviously when you're in a players here, everyone's kind of got to be decorum, but like I could see some interesting situations happening on online play.
Oh yeah. Or the strange noises you can hear in the background sometimes.
Yeah. Unless I'm role playing a hobo. Hey, gosh. I mean, I guess that's true. That does allow you to get an opportunity to have some sort of cosplay role play in your sessions. What was a time your players have surprised you the most? Almost every goddamn session. I honestly think it's hard to say because it's you guys tend to go all over the place. Yeah. So it's never really an action of what you guys will do that surprises me. I think the biggest times that I'm surprised in is when you guys actually do the thing you set out to do.
Yeah.
That's when I'm surprised. When you guys are like, all right, we're gonna take these plans, we're gonna go, we're gonna bribe this person, we're gonna take this step, we're gonna go A, B, C, D, and then throughout the session we do it, and there's no changing, no nothing,
hiccup,
and it goes believably smooth. And I even it's always funny when like my table would be like, hey, look, we followed the plan.
That's only ever happened like once.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's such a rare moment because it doesn't happen all the time. And so it's always nice to watch that go down.
I have one, but that's only because I've only ever run one session. I did a one shot called the Fae Fair. So I set up a whole fair for everybody to play in and have an adventure in. And it was just supposed to be nice. Y'all were supposed to play fun carnival games, win fun carnival prizes. I went to the store and bought legit
Real
carnival
carnival prizes
and snacks and everything for everybody to enjoy. And you know what these people did? They took some of the cute little petable like pigs that were in the petting zoo and they bought them, and then they took them over to the frying stations and were like, can we fry these up and eat them?
Hey, just because they talk don't mean they don't taste good.
So that was fun.
But I think
fun for me.
Right, I think that's what it is too, though. It's the always expecting the unexpected is the whole essence of being a dungeon master, right? Like, and I think that's that's what you want too, because if you guys surprise me, if you guys do something out of the box, and that means you guys are paying attention and you guys are doing the work and you guys want to be there, right? If you're being very predictable, it just means you guys are being lazy.
Yeah, or you're not trying, you don't care.
All right, Helios says, I was surprised the first time I saw how much damage a paladin can do with smite. Rip that poor dragon.
Oh yeah.
yeah, obviously, I like paladins in that regards. It is the whole like jack of all trades problem where it's like, yeah, you're good twice and then you have some healing and but I think I love paladin most of all just for its role play aspect in that it is the whitest of nights if you want to play and you there's a lot of variance now with the different subclasses and stuff, but
I liked the one I played.
I like
my
it
favorite.
I like it as a professional public speaker in that it is the one that gains magic through just like an oath of just like, yo,
just devotion.
You're in charge, you're a king, and now I have magic.
Just because I am loyal to a fault.
Right. And so I also like that. I think to me also where the most surprises come through are my new players, right? And it is that whole like the thinking outside of the box and trying to be different is what kind of surprises your dungeon master, because there are ways where like obviously you can see where the dungeon master wants you to go. Yeah. And so it's not saying like be an asshole and just avoid that every single time. But maybe, use something that's not necessarily right as it's supposed to be. Find a new way of using an item or a new way of coming at an object rather than using the game itself to manipulate it. If you don't succeed the first investigation, just let it go. Don't have to have 6 more people do it just to be successful.
You didn't figure it out.
Just let it go. You didn't find something.
Yeah.
And that mistake alone will then surprise your DM because now it's like, oh, wait, they're accepting failure. They're accepting it and moving. Now the DM has to be on his toes, and you guys do too. And that just makes it more fun.
Because a party that can accept failure is a party that can grow and that can get dangerous in the later levels.
All right, for you two, we got about one more question each. If there's anything you two want to ask us before we take off for tonight for our first episode of You Heard It From Us, we do appreciate you two joining us today.
Thank you so much,
we kind of
guys.
figured we'd be talking to the wall, so it's always appreciated to have someone here.
We love it. Thank you.
So Helios, you got anything for us?
Yeah, me out. Last call. Let me see.
Itchy legs. Anything come to your mind?
I liked my paladin Brenna. She was a great paladin. But when she made her first choice to be that paladin, we were in the square of a town, and she just decided to take care of the mayor who wasn't doing good deeds. So just one split decision. That's all it took.
All right. Well, we got from Phoenix. We got. Did you ever have to stop mid-section because of a player's action? If so, how? I've only had 2 moments where we've had to necessarily stop mid-session. Yeah. One was Sweatgate, when our air conditioner didn't work in our apartment, and when you get 6 people in an apartment in the middle of summer in California, oh my God, it sucks ass. And it was so bad, we had to stop. Yeah. Everyone was getting sick.
Everyone had to go
bad.
Home.
I did technically stop a campaign though, for 2 players mid-campaign, that were just being a pain in the ass. we were in the thick of Strahd, and they wanted to cause all these chaos and delays so that they could watch the last season of Game of Thrones, which we all know was trash.
And they hate it anyway.
And they were very much into wanting me to describe the cut to blacks. And so that was one where it was like their campaign was over, and we just kind of let their characters be aimbotted the rest of the game, the rest of the campaign, because we just didn't want them to be around anymore.
Hey, I will say, as a player, you gave them honorable endings. They all did great things, despite the fact that their players weren't even there.
And then Helios gives us, if you could take any prior character or NPC and drop them into your current game, who would you choose? Now, I know, obviously, this is going to be more of an inside for most of my players. There is a character named Drip Drop that I am very much trying to get in, which I tend to like to play characters that are usually whatever their main stat is, their dump stat. So an alchemist with 0 intelligence, and just does it by trying over and over again. His hair's grass. Yep. It's learning the hard way. Yep. I know I played him in a one shot myself. He was actually like one of my very few characters I've actually played. Yeah. And so it'll be nice to see if he ever does come back. But that would be one that I would want to see kind of planted in this story. But at the same time, it's tough because as a DM, if I put him in the wrong town, he might be a blip and will never be seen. Yeah, I get you. The GG.
Oh, I like GG.
Yeah, that is the name is literally 2 Gs.
Yeah,
it is.
That's exactly what it is. I only have one character I could ever bring back, and that's Alira.
Yeah, I know, and that's your character that's still around. So it's the nice thing is that it could eventually happen.
Perhaps, but I'd like to think she's her own person now, floating among the stars somewhere.
But thank you guys. Thank you so much for being our 2 here today, asking questions and having us here and enjoying with us on our first live show. I put this all together today, so it was ready to go, and I think we did a pretty damn good job today.
That was awesome.
But thank you guys again. Thank you again. Would say subscribe and follow, but you guys are already doing it. It's great. Be sure to obviously check out our YouTube when we post this. Tomorrow.
And if you're checking this out after the fact, go ahead and give us a follow, subscribe, and like.
Everything. Also, join us on Discord if you have any other questions you wish to have answered or want us to have a topic specifically about you or for you. Let us know there, and we will definitely include it in next live. We'll be doing this in 2 weeks, so join us again in 2 weeks for another episode of You Heard It From Us. Have a good one, guys.